Welcome back to our weekly review of the American Athletic Conference. And on this episode, we will break down week 5. All 14 teams were in action with 6 games featuring conference opponents going head to head, while Memphis and Florida Atlantic played out of conference games. Army kicked things off on Thursday night by traveling to Philadelphia to take on Temple. After an early touchdown pass by Temple was called back because of a penalty, the Black Knights let loose. They scored touchdowns on their first 2 drives, something they've done in all 4 games this year, and eased their way to a big 42-14 victory, putting them at 4-0 on the season. In fact, Army is now tied with Missouri for the longest active win streak in the FBS, with 8 wins in a row. Army quarterback Bryson Daly rushed for 152 yards on 24 carries and scored 3 touchdowns. He only had 54 passing yards, but he didn't really need them. The Black Knights rolled up 489 yards of offense, a whopping 417 rushing yards. In addition to Daly, Kanye Udo ran the ball 14 times for 128 yards and a touchdown, and Noah Short added 78 yards on 5 carries, including a breakaway 61-yard scoring run on Army's first offensive possession. Temple quarterback Evan Simon had 224 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, with both coming late. Simon was intercepted once and sacked 7 times by the Army defense, which allowed a total of -5 yards on the ground. Dante Wright had 8 catches for 98 yards and a score to lead the Owls in a losing effort, as Temple now falls to 1-4. Meanwhile, Army remains undefeated, now at 4-0. Tulane moved to 3-2 on this season with a big win, 45-10 against South Florida in front of a boisterous home crowd. Tulane jumped out to a 31-0 lead in the first half before USF's Byron Brown scored a touchdown in the last minute of the half. The Green Wave amassed 528 yards of offense and had no turnovers. They were led on offense by Darian Mensa's 18 for 22 passing for 326 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the ground attack was paced by Mackay Hughes, who had 17 carries for 61 yards and also added a touchdown. Number 1 receiver Dante Fleming, who wears the number 1, gathered in 7 passes for 128 yards and a touchdown, while Mario Williams caught 4 balls for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. USF falls to 2-3. In Birmingham, Alabama, Blake Horvath threw 2 long touchdown passes and led Navy's strong ground attack with 84 yards rushing and a 41-18 victory over Trent Dilfer's UAB squad. With the win, Navy improves to 4-0 and 3-0 in the AAC for the first time since 2017. The Blazers' Jacob Zeno was 14 of 22 passing for 202 yards with a touchdown, but he also threw 2 interceptions. Navy rolled up 452 yards of offense, including 227 on the ground. UAB now falls to 1-3 on the season. East Carolina broke a 10-10 halftime deadlock and outscored visiting UTSA 20-7 in the second half to take a 30-20 victory. Jake Garcia went 17 of 35 for 294 yards and 2 touchdowns, but was also intercepted twice. Rajay Harris led the rushing attack with 60 yards on 25 carries. The team only netted 47 yards on the ground, so that part was actually held in check by the Roadrunners. Anthony Smith and Winston Wright Jr. each had receiving touchdowns, while Garcia added another on the ground. ECU's defense forced 3 turnovers by UTSA, and that proved to be one of the differences in the game. East Carolina goes to 3-2, while UTSA drops to 2-3. North Texas raised its record to 4-1 with a big win at home over Tulsa. The final score was 52-13. Quarterback Chandler Morris had another big day on 22 for 34 passing for 439 yards and 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers. Mackenzie McGill had 70 rushing yards and a touchdown, and the defense forced Tulsa into 2 turnovers. The Golden Hurricane now fall to 2-3. Florida Atlantic picked up a win against Wagner, moving to 2-3 on the season in non-conference action. The 41-10 victory over featuring Owls running back. The 41-10 victory featured Owls running back C.J. Campbell Jr., who rushed for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns, while receiver Amari Hayes hauled in 6 catches for 137 yards. Cam Fancher and Cason Weissman split the quarterbacking duties and combined for 16 of 24 passing for 248 yards with no touchdowns, and they each threw an interception. Memphis came back from a loss in Week 4 to take down in-state rival Middle Tennessee by a score of 24-7. Yards were pretty even, but the Tigers possessed the ball almost 10 minutes more and churned out 186 yards on the ground, led by Mario Anderson's 118 yards and a touchdown, while running mate Brandon Thomas added 2 scores. Memphis now goes to 4-1 on the season. In Houston, Charlotte quarterback Deshaun Purdy came in to relieve fellow signal caller Trexler Ivy, and he led the 49ers on a 7-play, 77-yard drive in the final minute and a half, while Hassan Wilson scored the go-ahead touchdown along with the point after to give Charlotte a 21-20 lead over Rice. But the game wasn't decided until a 40-yard field goal attempt by Rice place kicker Enoch Gota was missed to the left, and the 49ers escaped with the narrow 1-point win. Charlotte goes to 2-3, while Rice drops to 1-4. I went into Week 5 with a 43-6 record. I correctly predicted all 8 winners in this week's games, saved only by the missed field goal at the end of the game between Rice and Charlotte. So I now stand at 51-6 going into Week 6. Now, most teams will be in their bye this coming week, but there will be 5 games involving teams in the AAC. Army will take its undefeated record on the road and will pick up another victory, this time against Tulsa, to move to 5-0. Fellow Service Academy Navy will take on traditional rival Air Force, with the midshipmen defending an undefeated record of their own. But even though Air Force took a really tough loss last week to Wyoming, I think the Air Force Academy will find a way to win this one at home at the base of the Rocky Mountains in what many will consider an upset. ECU should have enough firepower to take down Charlotte in their in-state matchup. Both teams are coming off conference wins, but earlier in the summer, I called for Charlotte to pull the upset. I've been perfect with both of these teams so far this season. Let's see if that holds true. Temple will pick up a win against Connecticut. And finally, Tulane should go to 4-2 with the win over UAB. So what do you think? Leave me your comments and spread the word. I'm on a little bit of a roll, so let's see if I can keep this thing going. Until next time, this is Tom signing off with another weekly recap of college football action right here in the American Athletic Conference.